Coffee.
Because it's the best part of waking up. It's
It's
not
not
Folgers.
Folgers in your cup.
No, it's not Folgers.
It's Starbucks from home.
It is.
Welcome back to Rated Radio with your hosts Rayburn Alexander and Shane Wyndham. Rayburn, what's going on in your world?
Well, by the time this comes out, I will no longer be a drain on the economic system because I have accepted a position at a highly respected mortgage company as their brand new marketing coordinator. I am very excited for the opportunity to be a part of their team and see what exciting things I can bring to the table. What about you?
I'm not working in marketing right now. That's for sure.
That's okay.
You know what they say, miserable wife, miserable life. Pregnancy is a no-joke situation. Need to make some corrections. Nueces County is Corpus Christi, not Houston. So, yeah, I wasn't corrected by anybody. I just got to thinking about it and realized I was wrong. You know, heat of the moment, you say the wrong things.
We forgive you.
Sorry about that, Neil. A while back, I thought one of our messages was my nephew, Devin. Apparently, that was actually Joseph.
I told you it was Joseph.
I'm a dumbass.
He sounds a lot like his dad.
Yes.
So, again, we'll forgive you.
The apologies that I've had to give recently because I walked into my mom's at one point and saw him on the couch and thought it was his mom because his hair is grown and he had it up in a ponytail. He says, well, she is my mom.
The most smart-ass answer possible.
And then with regard to Joseph, it was the same thing. It was, well, that is my son.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've had a few people ask me now about how to use Spotify with friends. So if you can't Google, let's get this out of the way. First, connect your Spotify account to your Facebook. On the desktop app, the right side will show a feed for your friends. There's a Find Friends option at the bottom. Just follow some folks and you're good to go.
I didn't know this was going to turn into a tutorial episode.
Yes, very short tutorial. Sorry.
It's okay.
I've been asked a number of times now and it's...
Look at you helping the public.
Yeah.
And not getting paid for it.
No. Anyway, happy that everyone's getting on Spotify slowly but surely. Just ignore what I'm listening to most of the time. I saw my mom was listening to OTEP the other day.
Really?
Which there's no way in hell that was my mom. So I'm guessing...
Oh, they were on her profile.
I'm guessing someone else is on there.
Yep.
Lastly, we've now got a special episode for sale on our merch page. We'll be adding more of those from time to time. The one that's up deals with greatest hits albums. So if you need more of us or want to support what we're doing, go grab your copy of that, teespring.com/ratedradio. That's all I've got.
Should we roll the intro?
Yes, let's.
All right. Shane, we did cover a top 10 list this week. Would you like to inform the listeners what that list was about?
I wrote down songs to have sex to, but I'm pretty sure that's not how I said it. I said songs for fucking or songs for sexy time.
Songs to do.
Bang it out.
Yeah. Top 10 songs to have sex to is, I guess, what we're going to go with. But you can call it whatever you want to call it. Making whoopee. Stirring macaroni, I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say, the more you dig into that well of things, the older and cornier it's going to seem.
Yep.
And then no one will want to listen to our sex songs.
So let's just keep it simple, stupid.
Hey, baby, you want to make whoopee? Let's stir the macaroni.
Let's play Helicopter Man.
Yeah, let's go in the bedroom and play Helicopter Man.
What was first on your list?
Well, I'm a little extra this week. It's a double list. Big surprise.
Big surprise.
You know, I wanted an opportunity to... I couldn't pare it down is really what it was. Anyway.
It's all right.
So, first two picks for me. Beauty School by Deftones and Edge of Desire by John Mayer. A lot of Deftones music makes for the best background to good sex in my opinion. Went with Beauty School because I've often turned that track on repeat while writing erotic prose. And Edge of Desire reflects something essential about the way I view the experience of sex. A mix of damn near every existential emotion we can feel, melting away for the sake of shared pleasure, of vulnerable nearness to someone other than ourselves. People tend to treat sexual honesty like it's the end of the world. It isn't. Sex is one of the best parts of life, and we should all be having more of it. What is your first pick?
I want to clarify something before I get to my first pick. This list is going to consist of a lot of different sexual moods that I myself find myself in. I usually have a different playlist for all my different moods.
You find yourself in yourself,
and
that's what this list is about?
Yes,
this isn't a masturbation list, Rayburn.
Inside myself. God! Anyway, I'm so glad that I didn't that my background check at my new job wasn't flagged for this sort of content. Anyway, first on my list is Gorilla by Bruno Mars. It is perfectly acceptable for any Bruno Mars song to really make a sex playlist. Versace on the Floor was definitely a close second, but for the most part, Gorilla gets it for me. Primal, animalistic, fucking.
Yeah, I can agree with the song pick. I don't know I would fuck to any Bruno Mars, but...
Oh, Lazy Song. You ain't never fucked to the Lazy Song. That's a joke. Maybe not any Bruno Mars song, but he's got a good selection of songs, especially on his 24 Karat Magic album.
Mm-hmm.
Some doo-wops and hooligans songs, because I think that Gorilla was on doo-wop. You know what? I'm not going to say it because I don't want to correct myself later.
Yeah, and I should note that I'll throw my 2 cents in here because I did see Rayburn's list ahead of time and made sure that I did not duplicate anything. And she did have some very, very good picks.
Thank you. They're to come. No pun intended.
Well, all right. Next up for me is I Die Without You by PM Dawn and On the Freeway by Busy Bone. My first girlfriend passed away while we were recording the last episode, and without going down that rabbit hole of sadness, for now, I'll simply say that I bring her up here because these songs are the sorts of things we'd often listen to. She had this immaculately sensual voice, and I feel like I cut my gentler teeth just listening to her share every young, fragile hope she had when it came to intimacy. There's more to be said, but I'm not ready to go down. Or I'm not ready to go that deep just yet.
I'm going to refrain from making any jokes because I was sad to hear about her passing. I feel like I've learned a lot more about her being able to talk to you and talk about her on the show. So I was saddened, but we won't go down that this episode.
Yeah, sex songs. Let's get back to
the sex. Next on my list is When the Lights Go Out by the Black Keys. You know, I've always kind of talked about the Black Keys and how I've since changed my tune, but at one point I said if I were a band, I'd be this band. It's got like Southern bluegrass inspirations, but it's got a rock undertone. And if any of you have seen the movie Black Saint Moan, this is a song that plays when Christina Ricci is walking in the country down a dirt road and a tractor, she's like blocking the whole road and a tractor can't get by and she does not give 2 fucks. So it's a good song. And in case you didn't know, I have had sex to all these songs, so I've tested them out.
Yeah. Thank you for making eye contact with me as you talked about having sex to all of these songs.
You're welcome. I have no shame.
Really appreciate it.
2021, the year of no shame.
No opinion on the Black Keys pick. Next up for me is Just You and Me by Tracy Lawrence and I'll Go On Loving You by Alan Jackson. I know what you're thinking. Country has no place in the bedroom, and I'd argue that you think that because you don't know any better.
Oh, my ignorance.
Talking about listeners in general, not attacking you.
Okay.
Anyway, I forgive you in advance. These songs remind me of being in my element, blue string lights, sandalwood candles, soft music playing, and suddenly there's not a care left in the world other than generously pleasing the woman I'm with. If you're looking for country that does it for me, at least, and for some reason you want to experience that, go listen to these songs. What's next for you, Ray?
Before we get on to my next pick, I want to comment on the fact that no country song made my list, but I want to comment on the fact that you said the general consensus doesn't think that maybe country belongs in the bedroom. I want to say, at least in my experience, country is extremely emotional and can be rather sensual, so it makes sense to me.
This is her way of saying that she masturbates to Chris Stapleton. What's your next pick?
My next pick is Pony by Genuine. I feel like I don't need to give any explanation of why this makes my list. I think that this should make everyone's list. If Genuine didn't contributed anything to the world, it was massive amounts of fucking to this song. So thank you, Genuine. And thank you for the pen that you gave my mother at Sunmart truck stop so that she may give it to me and I may hang it on my wall. As a teenager.
That pick is 1 in a million. And I wish more music like that was being made. Like that great R&B fucking music, but it's also kind of corny.
Yeah. It's
in a purposeful way. I feel the same way about Ride by Somo. I don't know if you've heard that. I love that kind of shit.
Pony by Genuine has since like become a meme, especially that bleh, bleh. In the very beginning, people have...
It sounded like you were making puke noises.
People have since like made it a joke out of it, but they cannot deny the pure sensual R&B goodness that comes out of that song.
Jump on it. Ride it.
What's your next pick?
Next for me is High for This by The Weeknd and Skin by Rihanna. Or excuse me, how do you say her name? Bon Iver.
You mean how it's pronounced? We'll get back to Bon Iver. But how it's pronounced and how she clarified it was Rihanna is her name. But let's make mention of Bon Iver since we're here.
Yeah.
Tell the listeners what we discussed.
I've since asked about this a handful of times. And everyone I've talked to thought as well that it was Bon Iver. And you're closer to correct, but
yes,
it's Bon Iver, or it's Bon Iver.
Bon Iver.
Which, bon appetit, it's French.
Yeah.
So, but it should stand out in your head if you like fucking to that sort of... Why are we talking about Bon Iver?
Bon Iver. So I was closer. Let the record show that I was closer, but still managed to be incorrect. So moving on to Rihanna.
High for This by The Weeknd and Skin by Rihanna. It's more pleasing to my palate to say it that way, I suppose.
That's fine. Please your palate. This is about songs to have sex to.
And she's not trying to have sex with me, so what the fuck do I care about mispronouncing her name? When people talk about screwing on ecstasy, I always imagine music like this pairing well with it. Mind you, I've never actually done the drug. I used to think it would be a cool experience, but the more I consider it, the more I realize that sexual pleasure already feels like the best high I've ever had. So I bet adding drugs to the mix would just wreck my dopamine receptors, and suddenly I'd be that person who couldn't get off without being choked, Just no. Thus, I gladly stick to music like this on the rare occasion that I feel sex needs an extra bit of pop.
Hey, you want me to tell you something that I had to explain to my dad this past week because we were playing a board game and he legitimately asked this question.
Was he on ecstasy?
No, he wasn't. Sorry. It's related to sex, but not related to ecstasy. Yeah. He asked Blue and I, what does it mean to get your salad tossed? So I had to explain to my dad what it meant to get your salad tossed.
I have trouble believing that.
So did I. But apparently, no.
He wasn't just messing with you to see what you'd say?
No, he was legitimate. Yeah, some things were revealed during that game of the horrible truth that I want to take the time to apologize to my mother about, but only apologize to my mother because she birthed me. So.
Why are you apologizing to your mother?
Because she has a hard time dealing with me being so open and honest of my sexual experiences.
Understood.
So I want to take the time to apologize to my mom, not to my dad. He loved it. He thought it was hilarious. But my mom, I'm sorry. I love you.
Salad tossing is eating ass, by the way. Just to clarify.
Yeah. For those of you that don't know, you might have accidentally tossed someone's salad. I say accidentally. You might have tossed someone's salad and not known that that's what it was called. So.
It makes absolutely no sense. You toss salad with your hands.
Yeah.
Or with a utensil of some sort, and it's got you just imagine like someone burying their face in the salad.
Well, but if you think about all the expressions for sex, like hot Carls and dirty Sanchez makes sense, but like things like that, some of them just don't make any sense.
Why'd you use the shit ones?
I don't, because they're the funniest ones.
Okay.
Anyway, moving on to my next pick. He visually cringed and shivered just then. Moving on.
Isn't it amazing? I have no problem with eating ass, but you talk about the poo. Shit, and no.
And for the record, I assume that you're the same.
Clean your ass, yes.
I don't get down with the poo stuff. Like, I don't understand it.
Oh, yeah.
No.
Most definitely not.
No. Anyway.
Yeah.
Moving on.
We've talked about a dead person and shit now, so let's...
My next pick is Closer by 9 Inch Nails. Anyone that knows this song, hopefully you can understand. If not, sorry about your life.
It's a good band.
Animalistic song. I mean, I want to fuck you like an animal. Another one of those primal songs.
Animalistic and primal. You keep saying it.
Well,
like, I just imagine you driving down the road and you see like cows mounting each other.
Shut up.
Like, oh my God, it's animalistic. That's so hot.
Okay, you are a fellow believer in evolution and science. You know we have primal urges.
Yeah.
Especially in the bedroom. So I don't want to hear no shit from you.
It's just funny.
Quit thinking like about I'm looking at cows and sheep and getting off. It's your something.
Go-to. It's just funny to me. I don't know.
What is your next pick?
Yeah. I hear animalistic and I always think about those. Maybe it's not random for most people, but you're just sitting around, you know, you're enjoying your day, nothing out of the ordinary. And suddenly it's just, damn, I need to fuck.
You don't have moments like that?
I do.
Okay, well, there you go.
I just meant like some people, it might happen way, way more than it happens to me.
You know when gorillas try to rip people's faces off? And yeah, I'm getting close to that primal animalistic urge. Why don't you tell people what your next pick is?
Fucking chimpanzee girl over here. Okay. Next for me is Finger Licking Good by Lords of Acid and Adrenalize by In This Moment. Sorry for making myself sound like some ultra softy in the bedroom up to now. Not only will I never cry on you during sex, but the odds are pretty even that I'll be a bit rough or expect that from a partner. My opinion is that variety is key to sexual well-being. You're using your body to communicate all manner of emotion you'd normally reserve only for your own head. So it's important that you get comfortable with even the intense expressions if you hope to thoroughly enjoy sex. These songs may help you there. If nothing else, they're fun to listen to.
What was it that you said? If sex doesn't scare you a little bit, you ain't doing it right.
Mm-hmm.
Live by that statement.
Not like every time. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I had to get a drink of my Not Folgers. Not sponsored by Starbucks. Anyway.
I want to like ask questions, but you don't have this outrageous sexual history or, you know, different sex partners that I can...
But you can ask.
Okay, well, you probably had an experience with someone coming on to you, but they're so forceful about it. And they'll send you like these written descriptions of what they think the sex is going to be like.
Okay, not that exactly, but people do come on to me.
Sometimes it's just so blunt and grossly visual and like everything they send you is always revolving around the same theme.
You know what's funny about that is the majority of our listeners will probably relate since we're living in the age of Tinder and random hookups with strangers for safe, hopefully sexual purposes, which there's nothing wrong with that. Do you, boo-boo? Just be safe. Yes, I don't have any experience with that. I've been with the same person and only one person since I was 15 years old. But that's not to say I'm a prude in the bedroom. You get what I'm saying?
Is there a point here?
No. I'm just saying, don't discount me because I don't.
This is why I said nothing. What is your next pick? All I was trying to get at was mix it up a little.
For me?
For anyone out there.
Okay,
like, and if you're trying to get with someone and you're talking about what it is you want to do, like, at least mix up the things that you want to do. Even if you know someone is super into like doggy style or something, don't send every fucking message to them that's like, oh, I can't wait to do doggy style.
Okay,
I was just thinking about doggy style.
That's good advice.
Flip them pancakes.
You can go to hell.
What's your next pick?
My next pick.
Can I tell your story since we're in sex?
Go ahead. God, I want a break anyway.
I said flip them pancakes, so
go ahead.
You have to tell.
You tell it. You get more enjoyment.
I do. There's a smirk.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Ear
tell
to ear
it.
on my
You
face.
can tell my story.
Is it only while showering?
It doesn't happen every shower, but no.
So it never happens outside of the shower?
It does. Sometimes when I'm topless, just because.
Her partner smacks her titties up and down. Sometimes it says flip them pancakes.
Oh, God. I told you this morning that I love you, but I think I'm beginning to hate you now. Yes, he does.
You have the floor. Feel free to change the subject. Welcome
to a life with a sense of humor. Anyway, my next pick is What's Your Fantasy by Ludacris featuring Shawana. This is for that nitty gritty, dirty fucking sexing, whatever you want to call it. Boning. I don't know. See, I'm Oh God, I'm going backwards in
It's
time.
also a really fun song to rap.
Yeah. For people that have listened, you know that I had a stroke just then. Sorry. Yeah, I've been a Ludacris concert, and this was just as good, if not a million times better, seen live. So yeah, hold up. What's your last pick for this half?
I already gave it.
Oh well, sorry. Flipped them pancakes got me distracted.
Shall we talk about Jeff Buckley?
Yeah, let's talk about Jeff Buckley, who was recommended by our listener,
Kelly.
Yes, who is your friend.
That's correct.
So, thanks, Kelly. All right.
Yeah, I feel like I should say a million things right there, but I'm not going to.
No, you're not.
She knows I appreciate her influence in my life.
Mm-hmm. I get up early and drive here to sit here and be ridiculed and told with them pancakes. At least he gave me coffee. Anyway.
So with regard to Jeff Buckley, let me apologize at the outset because I didn't realize we've changed some of the format here.
You didn't realize we changed the format?
No, I meant with regard to Jeff Buckley, it didn't seem like it. We're only going to be covering 3 albums from now on, just so we can say top, middle, bottom. You don't have this runner-up and next to last confusion. Hopefully makes the episode shorter, and we've pared down the questionnaire as well to just pick what you want sort of thing.
Talk about what you want to talk about. We're making the episodes not as structured to give a little bit more fluidity to our discussion. And we hope that you guys will appreciate it. If you don't and you miss the old format, please let us know on any social media platform and we can reevaluate the structure. We love hearing comments and opinions from you guys. So just let us know.
Yeah, I was just I didn't know that 2 of these were double discs. So we essentially covered 5 Jeff Buckley albums anyway.
Thanks, man.
But yeah, it's really good. I wanted the deep dive for Buckley anyway.
Yeah. Because
I knew he'd only be there once. For those who don't know, Jeff Buckley passed away pretty quickly after his career started.
Yeah, he died of accidental drowning in the Mississippi River at age 30. So
yeah,
that was interesting to read about. Apparently, the last thing that he was heard singing was "Whole Lotta Love." So
there's a documentary out too about life and death, music, lots of interviews and stuff. I remember seeing it. I just can't think of what the name is. Anyway,
what were the albums we covered?
The first album we covered was Grace. I went with the Legacy Edition because I wanted all of the recordings from those sessions. So it's double disc, not just the one. 1994. Yes. This was my top album.
This fell in the middle for me. I want to take this time to say this was his only recorded, while he was living, contribution. The next 2 episodes that we're covering are either compilation or were recordings put together after he had already passed.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the first disc of Grace is actually the only thing that he officially...
Yeah, because there's live versions throughout the Legacy album.
Yeah.
So, yeah, this fell in the middle for me.
This was my top album. I gave it 19 5s.
I had to check to make sure that
was not a perfect rating. There were 23 tracks in total.
I gave it 6 5s.
My top track was Forget Her. I think it's the best starting point for anyone who's never heard any Jeff Buckley.
My top track was Lover, You Should Come Over.
Yeah.
It's a good song.
Yeah. One of my favorite recordings of all time.
It's really good. My bottom track was Kick Out the Jams. It just seemed a little out of his character.
Same.
Really?
The live version. Yeah, which I think that's all that's on here is the live version.
What I want to say is, at the time, this introduced a lot of that indie sound that were not appreciated at that point in time. But since then, he has become, critically acclaimed after his death. Like a few artists that have passed, a lot of them, unfortunately, miss their moment in time. And he was one of them. His vocals are haunting and still remain the highlight. So
I would throw in, don't miss disc 2. So if you go to Spotify, look at the Legacy Edition. Don't just listen to the single Grace CD, but listen to both of them. They're great. People who like Hozier will love this artist. This is one of those albums I have trouble turning off once it starts. Kangaroo got a 4 from me. Should have been one of the best tracks, but it's just too long. Cool drums, but still. This album should have just been those first 20 tracks. There were 3 too long or 3 too many, but still, this is, in my opinion, one of the greatest albums ever released.
Well, apparently Bowie agrees because he said that if he was ever stranded on a desert island when he was alive, the Grace album would be the one that he would take.
Yep. And I think there's a lot of Brad Pitt being interviewed. Not that, Brad Pitt's musical opinion matters much to the conversation. It was just interesting to me.
I bring in Bowie in the conversation. You bring up Brad Pitt.
Yeah, well, I know a lot about Brad Pitt's opinions outside of acting, and I have a lot of respect and appreciation for the man. Mm-hmm. Same could be said of Leo.
Mm-hmm. Now you're speaking my language.
Yeah, I don't know. There is something about this music that will stick with you. It is haunting. About half of what he does are covers. The other half are originals. Mm-hmm. I think something that's talked about in some of those interviews are how he wanted to eventually move more into rock. Mm-hmm. But this is more folk singer-songwriter.
Yeah.
I don't know. You should definitely go listen to this if you've never heard it before. This is, above all else today, is what I'm wanting to recommend you go listen to.
Yeah, the Grace album, since his passing, has been listed on Billboard's top 100 albums of all time. So if you're going to be introduced to Jeff Buckley, I would recommend hitting the Grace album first and not doing the compilation or After Death albums.
And sometimes people, they get this good rap for their music when they die. Someone released a few CDs and then they died. You get that with a lot of rappers these days who I just, some of their music I really can't stand. This is not one of those things. Even if the guy was alive and kicking, this is something you're never going to forget listening to. Anyway, next album we covered was Sketches for My Sweetheart the Drunk from 1998. This was my middle pick.
This fell on the bottom for me.
I gave it 8 5s.
I gave it 1 5.
My top track was Everybody Here Wants You.
My top track was Satisfied Mind.
Interesting. My bottom track was Murder, Suicide, Meteor Slave.
And my bottom track was New Year's Prayer. Don't really have a comment on it. This for me was... Okay, before I say what it was for me, of course this was an uncompleted compilation of works that Buckley had recorded previously.
Mostly home demos on, I think, a 4-track he was recording in a house and just trying to see like what the guitars sounded like in different corners of the rooms and stuff. Yeah.
Just picture him facing the walls playing his guitar.
Yes.
It was put together by his mother, friend Michael Klaus, and Chris Cornell, which makes sense because for me, it leaned more into the alternative rock genre that Cornell was more known for.
Yeah.
It had strange directions and it lacked what made the Grace album magical. Mm-hmm. And it could have had obviously a great deal that Buckley wasn't a part of putting it together.
Yeah.
So
I don't disagree with any of that. I would say that what I said was choruses aren't his strongest suit. So you really notice the unfinished nature of this album. What I mean by choruses aren't his strongest suit. Most artists, they shoot for this
hook,
high punch, like, they take it up a notch.
Yeah.
And he tends to dial it down in the choruses. And it works for who he is. Most artists could never get away with this. Mm-hmm. But because of that, and because this isn't mostly the studio produced stuff that you're looking for, you notice it more. The home recordings and experimentation make it less accessible than Grace, but there's still greatness here. The differences between each version of New Year's Prayer highlight my meaning. The last fourth of this album is a train wreck. Mm-hmm. Can be quite Radiohead-like.
Yes.
Weezer-esque.
Yes. Like early Radiohead, not like Kid A.
Yes.
Radiohead, not the experimental Radiohead, but that earlier. I don't want to say droning because I love the earlier stuff from Radiohead, but like that, longing noise.
There's some Weezer-esque vibes, and then I thought it was also somewhat like Tool in places. Really strange things there, but he was experimenting at home. I don't think most of this was ever meant to be heard. Mm-hmm. So don't have super high expectations. I will say this album is something I've heard in the past and didn't care too much for. And the more I hear it, the more it catches me. But I think that's just because I'm growing more and more obsessed with the guy's music and noticing more. But
One of the saddest things for me when listening to this album is, especially with you saying he was wanting to grow and experiment more in the rock genre, the fact that this is not his vision. We'll never know what his exact vision of the product is. I mean, it's someone's interpretation of his vision.
Yeah.
The fact that we don't know what its full potential would be, well, we'd never know where he was going to go with it. And that's sad.
And that's also why I mentioned New Year's Prayer earlier, because you have an original mix and the actual studio mix that was put out. I know you didn't care for the song, apparently, but the studio mix is just great. It really shows you what they do with his work and how the guy's just brilliant, but you don't necessarily hear it until you've got a producer that's really working in tandem to make it happen.
Is it weird that he reminds me of like a James Dean-esque, like Rebel Without a Cause sort of character in a way?
I don't think so.
Like he's got some underlying turmoil that he's sort of finding any outlet to express, and this is just how he expresses it.
Yeah, I get it.
Okay.
I get that completely.
Okay. Just making sure that you're on the same page as me.
Moving on to our final album. It's called You and I from 2016. This was my bottom album.
This was my top album.
I gave it 2 5s.
I gave it 3 5s.
My top track was Just Like a Woman.
My top track was I Know It's Over.
Bottom track was Don't Let the Sun Catch You Crying.
And my bottom track was Calling You.
All right. I wanted to say his guitar work is just as surreal and moving as his voice, often completely underappreciated. And this album drives that fact home. I was so hesitant to hear this after hearing the end of the Sketches album, knowing he'd never have released some of that. But this is tasteful and wildly intimate, like an Eva Cassidy set. Love that he validated my meaning of songs when he talked about dreaming of songs. And I think this album in particular is a true fan service. I was so scared going into it because Sketches is from 1998. This is from 2016. I thought you've got to be scraping the bottom of the barrel to put something like this together, but they weren't. It's a good album.
Yeah. What I want to say, for me, it was more jazz and bluegrass inspired collection. Very, what I would compare him to is Jack Johnson-esque. He gets back to the basics of Grace, but this is, in my opinion, the extended collection that people and fans were hoping for to follow up Grace.
Yes. And I think what this is, if I remember what I read correctly, this was a collection of his first studio recordings. So the stuff that he did on tape for the studio or for the recording label before he ever started in on Grace. And the version of Grace that he recorded here is so damn good. If you've heard Hozier do Alone With You or To Be Alone, if you've heard the live version of that, that's what a lot of this album sounds like. And to hear the different version of You and I, which you got his recording of it on Sketches, but to hear how he heard it originally, and it's fantastic. If you're a fan of his music, if you're not, this is going to come across more like, who's the guy we covered recently? More like Johnny Cash.
Yes.
And his home recordings there in the late stage of his life.
The reason why this makes my top album is for the sheer amount of tracks. This only had 10 tracks. 3 of them got 5s. But in compared to Grace the Legacy Edition, which got 6 5s, but was 23 tracks, Grace Legacy Edition, I will say, is the best bang for your buck. And especially if you're going to start off with Jeff Buckley, you want to start with Grace. You and I is a great follow-up to it.
Yeah.
So if you want to set aside what I actually rank them based on averages, it would probably be Grace first, You and I second, and Sketches from My Sweetheart third.
Yeah. These are all very different experiences and just goes to show that the guy had so much to offer the world. So really, if I'm looking at a loss of a musician in my lifetime that really I think is influential, it'd be this one. This is a sad story, but the music that he left in that short amount of time, is fucking phenomenal. It's going to grow on you like a weed. I bet in 6 months you'll have listened to much more Grace than you thought you enjoyed, and it will.
I listened to it on the way here.
Yeah.
So, and I was just like, man, when you said the thing about Radiohead, there were a couple of songs and I did get early Radiohead vibes, and I was like, man, I wish I would have made a note about that. So I'm glad you mentioned something about it. What I want to ask you though is, let's talk about Alligator Wine.
Let's talk about that.
You love this song. You introduce everyone to this song if you have the chance.
Yeah.
Where did it come from? Where did you first hear it? Since you're the one letting everyone else hear it for the first time. Where did you hear it for the first time?
So this actually relates to my first experience with Jeff Buckley. My friend Sarah gave me the second disc of Grace after hearing me play Amy by Damien Rice. I'd been playing guitar, and I guess something about the way that I was putting Amy together as a cover in my own hands. She wanted me to hear Buckley, but all she had was the second disc of Grace. And it just wowed me. You know, I mean, there's a Hank Williams cover on there. You don't expect some of the things that you're hearing, but what stood out to me when I first sat down to listen to that disc was Alligator Wine, because it's something I heard and thought, what in the fuck am I even listening to? And it felt like everybody should have that experience. Like if you're going to listen to Jeff Buckley, hear this bit of ridiculousness. And even if you hate it, know that there's probably something about this guy's sound in every other song that you're going to absolutely love.
You want to know what I compare it to?
Yeah.
I Put a Spell on You by Screaming Jay Hawkins.
I could see it.
It's got that undertone of like, I don't even know, like their vocals, like that scratchy vocals.
It feels very Halloweenish.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a bit of fun. Usually Jeff Buckley is pretty emotional with his performances and just tones of like his vocal tones. But this is a break. This is a bit of fun from him.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Guy was best known for his cover of Leonard Cohen's Hallelujah, which, yes, it's stellar. There are some really good versions of Hallelujah to be heard. I'm actually not crazy. As much as I love Leonard Cohen, I'm not crazy about the original.
You like the Jeff Buckley version better?
The Jeff Buckley version is my favorite.
Okay.
There's one by Rufus Wainwright that's completely piano. I like that one a lot. And I think on YouTube, there's a guy whose name is Chester C.
Yeah.
S3-E4, and he does a cover of this, and I love that too. There are a few that I really do enjoy.
Will you share them on our mentions playlist?
Yeah, I'll throw that all up. Did you have any additional things you wanted to talk about with regard to this artist?
I sprinkled my additional...
Let's hear it.
I know I sprinkled them throughout.
Oh.
I'm good.
Oh, my bad.
I'm golden.
I wanted to say that I wish all three versions of Dream Brother from the Grace discs, I wish they'd been unified. They all did feel slightly different, and I thought they all had great elements. Wish they'd been unified.
It wasn't a dog and butterfly situation?
No.
Okay.
And it's not Dog and Butterfly, it's Dreamboat Annie.
That's right. You're right. Sorry.
But these were actually full songs every time. Anyway.
Thank you for correcting me. Dreamboat Annie is right.
It's like I love the lyrics on the second version of Dream Brother. I love the sound on the first version and the little additions that extra mix at the very end adds. I wanted it all in the same place. Anyway, this music makes me feel like a tall tree in a windstorm. It's the best way I know how to explain what listening to Jeff Buckley makes me feel. Like if you've ever sat and watched a tree just blowing in the wind, and if you can feel the breeze, yes.
I get it, Shane. I get it. You just want to be breezy. It's fine.
I would have loved to see him collaborate with Eva Cassidy. Hands down, that would have been my pick.
Pause for suspense.
I was just reading my extra notes. There's nothing else I have to say. Great artist, great listen. Glad we got to cover him. Shall we go ahead and take our break?
Yeah, I'll allow it.
Slightly confused. My bad. Do you have song recommendation?
Dang.
Co-host of mine?
Let me go with my plug first.
Do your plug.
I'm gonna do my plug. There's an artist, and I would call him an artist on YouTube. Some of his stuff is also on Spotify. His name is DJ Cummerbund. I have been very, very interested in his compilations and mashups of different artists and different songs. I found him on TikTok. Yes, I'm almost 30 and I have a TikTok account. Don't come for me. My favorite one by...
Look what I can do.
My favorite one by far. I don't post stuff, so don't follow me on TikTok. It's the most boring thing ever.
I have nothing against TikTok people.
But my favorite one thus far is a compilation of Britney Spears' Toxic, Dragula by Rob Zombie, and Love Shack by the B-52s. You wouldn't think it would work. Somehow it does. Close second would be the mashup of Kiss's I Wanna Rock and Roll All Night and the Commodores' Easy.
So this stuff is on YouTube?
It is on YouTube, and I chose it for my plug because I want people to see it.
So I'll put it on mentions.
Yeah. So it smacks, man.
Before you talk about your song recommendation, let me say that with regard to TikTok,
yes,
I like to joke, but I don't actually have anything against it. I don't have negative feelings about TikTok. I actually, when I was young, I remember wanting to like make music videos that were unofficial, where it's just like someone you know and love that's lip syncing, and you put it in these strange situations. And yeah, so I think some of it is brilliant. My problem with just about anything is I get so sick every time there's a new platform that pops up. It means I have to try to figure out how to get this stuff all into one space. There's so many TikTok videos that just also pop up on YouTube. You could do this stuff on YouTube as well, but Vines on YouTube are not the new flavor. And
yeah, but who wants to watch a 30-second YouTube video?
Me, because I want to make a playlist of the best stuff, not try and remember what was the TikToker who did this thing way back in the day.
Let's move all of our stuff from TikTok to YouTube just so that we can appease you.
Yeah, make me happy. By the way, I fucking hate YouTube recently.
So there is no pleasing you.
There should be. I just hate that on a long enough time scale, everything gets so silly and corporate. And what the internet was when it was in its heyday, when MySpace was starting out and YouTube was brand new, and it felt like you could do anything and people could just be themselves. I don't feel like it's that anymore. It's more and more
formulated.
Yeah, and controlled. You can't add kid videos to playlists now. So there are some videos that have been marked for kids that I can't add to our playlists. It just drives me nuts. I feel sometimes like I'm watching cable again. I have to sit through a bunch of commercials all over the place.
Yeah.
I'm an old man rambling more and more, bitter about the internet age.
Why don't you let people know if you have any song recommendations or plugs?
I'm recommending a song called Such Language by DJ Donna Summer, which I discovered while watching Letterkenny on Hulu, and that show is my plug for the week. It's got a great soundtrack and a very unique comedy scripting style. Very adult, but very obsession-worthy. Think the way people talk in Scrubs, but then you have this mixture of like Trailer Park Boys, and I would go as far as to say The Office, maybe even Gilmore Girls, and like how fast stuff comes out of their mouths.
Yeah, it's very fast-paced. If you don't pay attention, you'd miss so many good one-liners.
Unique Canadian humor. Gotta love it. What was your song recommendation?
I haven't come up with one. Give me a minute. Yeah, I fail. I had a plug and not a song. You know what? My song is the Toxic Rob Zombie B-52s mashup.
Cool. You can't put that on the Spotify playlist. Maybe you can just add all the individual songs.
Yes, you can.
Okay.
I think. Let me check the Spotify.
Anyway.
I would love to get in a long drawn conversation about Letterkenny because it's so good. But to save our listeners the trouble, I'm going to refrain. But know that I love that show.
Let's talk about music some more.
Yeah, let's do that. So you had a bone to pick with me this week, and you were refraining from talking about it.
Yep.
Can I ask you, what was the artist that I chose?
The Temptations.
And that was my what artist? My Battle of the Bands choice.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. Why do you have...
I literally didn't know what the fuck you were asking me.
It's okay. Why do you have a bone to pick with me exactly?
We'll talk about it. Why don't you run us through the albums here?
Okay. Make me wait. That's fine. The first album that we covered was The Temptations' Sing Smokey from 1965. This was my top album.
This was my middle album.
I gave it 5 5s.
7 5s.
Wow. My top track, and try to not laugh, It's Growing.
Same.
Oh, no! Yes! See, this is why we put up with each other outside of family events. My bottom track is way over there.
You beat me to the punch.
That was a close runner-up for my bottom track as well. Yeah. This is the first big album. Like, they had one prior to this, but this was the classic lineup.
I thought you meant ever. I was like, it's just 1965.
No, not ever, but this was like their introducing the Temptations. This was what they call the David Ruffin era. It's when he first joined the band. There were 4 people prior, 2 people left when they were actually called the Otis Williams and the Distance. And they were also going by the name the Elgins, but record company didn't like that. They said change it, and they came up with the Temptations because they wanted people to be tempted.
Yo, B, wrap it up.
Okay, sorry. Anyway, this is the David Ruffin era. This is when times were good. This is when times were, nobody had a problem with alcohol. Nobody was being dramatic and being a diva. But what I would say about this album is it's classic Motown, feel good. It can sound a bit dated, but if you loved what Motown has to offer, I think you'll love the Temptations.
I'm beginning to think that I initially thought that if an artist had a bunch of singles that you knew and liked, that they were on your radar as like a great artist. But I'm beginning to think if an artist has, like, say you're going along in life and someone starts talking about some band's rough history and you're like, oh, they had drama? Oh, that
Shut
band.
Up.
That band is for me.
I'm not attracted to the drama. The only reason why I know about the drama is another one of my notes that I wanted to talk about. I watched the Temptations biography at a very young age. It's available on Prime Video. I did find it. It was like a mini series for TV, and I think it's in 2 or 3 parts. I really liked it, and it just dives into the drama because it was produced by Otis Williams, who's one of the founding members of the Temptations. So go fuck yourself, Shane. I did my homework.
I thought this was a very solid album. If you need that classic Motown sound for background music, this won't disappoint. But it's too dependent on that signature sound and loses sight of the need for strong hooks and melodies throughout. Smokey Robinson wrote and produced this entire album. About half is lackluster or cookie cutter for me. The rest, fantastic. It's not to say any of it is bad. This is all 4s and 5s for me, and I gave it 7 out of 12. It's a good album. It's a really, really solid album.
Yeah, and I thought you were going to give me shit being like, this is... Because Smokey Robinson was established in making his own music, too. But he wrote a lot of songs for other artists, especially during this time. Smokey Robinson worked really, really closely with the Temptations. And I thought you were going to give me shit because I thought you were going to think it was an album of covers when it's not.
No, I knew that.
Okay. I that's what I thought you were going to give me shit for, but apparently I'm going to get more shit later.
Next album.
The Temptations with a Lot of Soul from 1967. This fell in the middle for me.
This was my top pick.
I gave it 4 5s.
12 5s. Yes, much to my own amazement.
That's a perfect rating, y'all. My top track is Ain't No Sun Since You Been Gone.
Sorry is a sorry word.
And my bottom track was Sorry is a Sorry Word.
Mine was No More Water in the Well. And it was just because that I didn't realize that was a 5 at first. Like when I first went through it, floored by everything I was hearing except for No More Water in the Well. But the more I listened to it, it was a Tom Petty type experience. Like, God damn it, this is really good.
Like you're almost ashamed to say that you...
I'm not ashamed at all. I've always loved the Temptations. I've just never done a deep dive. This was part of why I was saying that I had a bone to pick with you, is because I didn't expect anything to actually pop off. The first album you go through and I knew exactly what I was getting. Like I wasn't surprised by anything. It reminded me of, some other artists that you listen to and it's like, oh, okay, you've got the handful of hits and mostly great music on there, but nothing that really blows your socks off. This was fucking phenomenal. It was a bigger, funkier sound, stronger vocal harmonies, tighter choruses, made this listen much more memorable. The Shy Lights clearly took heavy influence from albums like this. It mellows out toward the end and is better than most greatest hits albums in this genre. If you can't tell, I really, really like this LP. Feels like finding buried treasure, in my opinion.
Oh, wow. I'm glad I could give you that experience. I'll explain.
Technically, the Temptations
All right,
gave me
can
that
you
experience.
let me have this? Thank you. If you want to know my process behind picking these albums, obviously the first one is one that I knew, one with the most, I would say, hits that is well known. The one that we're talking about right now, I've always wanted to listen to because it was critically acclaimed and one of their highest rated albums. But
Kick-ass cover, too.
Yeah, but had never had the chance to listen to it. And the next one was, I knew some, but wasn't familiar with most of the stuff. And just, it also, the next album that we covered also has my favorite Temptations song on it. So,
do you want to talk about the next album?
No, not yet. I shouldn't have talked about it already. But I want to say that for this album, The Temptations with a Lot of Soul, the David Ruffin drama for lead continues. At this point, he believed that it should have been David Ruffin and the Temptations. He was getting into drugs and having a problem.
Yeah, for motherfuckers that didn't write their own music, I've never understood, like, how do you get so full of yourself that you want this title? Cool, you've got a cool voice, guy. You're nothing without your songwriters, and you're not technically anything without this backing vocalization that you've got. And he wasn't the lead in all places.
Exactly. For those of you that want to distinct David Ruffin's voice from the other ones, David Ruffin was the lead in My Girl in the previous album. So he's featured more as a lead on this album, Temptations with a Lot of Soul, but we'll get into that a little more later. The next album that we covered was Sky's the Limit from 1971. This was my bottom album.
This was my bottom album.
I gave it 2 5s.
1 5.
My top track and my favorite Temptations song, Just My Imagination.
Same. Most definitely not my favorite Temptations song,
it's my favorite.
But this was my top song on the album.
Okay, I'll get back to this. My bottom track was Smiling Faces Sometimes.
Same.
Wow.
Yeah.
Good for us. I'd high five you, but, germs and shit. I will say, fun little story, side note. This was the only song that I have ever danced with AC, my brother's best friend growing up. Very large, tall, black man compared to my very tiny white lady.
Who most of us think of as your brother.
Yeah, he's been called my brother on many occasions because he was always around, my brother's best friend. My brother always wanted a brother. But if you want to know what the situation is with my brother and AC, just watch Robin Big. You'll know. Nobody was dancing at prom. I pulled him out on the dance floor and made him dance with me to this song. And ever since then, it's been one of my favorite songs and moments that I've gotten to share with AC.
You know what I think of when I think of AC is something to do with our list. It's not on my list, and I don't think it's on your list, but I know for a fact that I think it's his favorite song of all time, but is also a song that you can most definitely fuck to, is Between the Sheets by the Isley Brothers.
Yeah.
Cannot hear it without thinking about AC.
Oh, that is nice to know, and I'll never listen to it the same again.
So when I saw the low number of tracks, I thought this album would be free of filler. Didn't expect a few epics.
Yeah.
And lots of world and psychedelic influences. Mm-hmm. Soul is third wheel here. And Just My Imagination is the only real gem to be had, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. The rest was, I don't know what it was besides, hey, you're officially in the 70s. We're trying to change what R&B is.
I'll tell you what it was.
Ugh.
I'll tell you what it was. All right. Well,
I gave a 2 on this. Before this, I hadn't given even a 3. There's a 2 on this album.
I gave 2s to previous albums. Well, good for you. Good for you. What I will say about this, and I feel like I've said that a lot, I'll tell you what happened with this album. They lost their falsetto lead, which is, his name was, I'll go by their last names, Kendricks, because another member, Paul Williams, departed due to alcoholic health issues. So their falsetto left, and another founding member. One of the big 5 members left. So 2 out of the big 5 members left. And David Ruffin was replaced with Dennis Edwards. That's not to discount Edwards' contribution. It just began to lose the magic of the Fab Five. It took more risks with this album, a lot more experimenting. It allowed more standouts for each vocalist, but felt less cohesive as a group.
I mean, if as a listener seeing, some of the music industry stuff here, I didn't feel like the dynamic of the vocals and stuff changed all that much. It still sounded like the Temptations. You could plug people here and there and make changes, and yeah, it's going to sound slightly different. But for me, it was most definitely the things that are not in their control when you listen. Mostly production is different here.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't produce, and the songwriting is different here. Like this is it's a vocal group. The whole point is this vocal soul stuff you've got going on. Why are you doing epics?
Mm-hmm.
Like instrumental epics. It's not vocal epics. It's just such a strange album.
It could have been the record company was telling them that they needed to push out a record and all this shit was going on. So they just put out some stuff. I mean, I'm not saying it's a terrible album. I still ranked it at a 3.5, but it's just so different from what they're well known for and what their strengths are.
And on the bright side, the experimental nature of the album, I think, is why you get something like Just My Imagination.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it probably wouldn't exist, at least not in the form that we got. I wanted to say that I think Greatest Hits for this artist is most definitely a mistake. My opinion now is sit down with the albums, listen to the albums.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be worth it. Even if you only get 1.5 on an album, at least you'll know. I'd recommend the music to everyone. This is a great artist to hook people on soul.
Mm-hmm.
So if you know nothing about that genre and someone's really trying to, or you're trying to get someone into soul,
mm-hmm.
don't start them on one of your out there artists. Start them with the Temptations.
Mm-hmm.
It's a slow build into what is a fantastic genre. Do you have other things to talk about?
I will say that one of the founding members, Melvin Franklin, the one with the really deep voice, him and Otis Williams were best friends, and Melvin actually went by the nickname Blue. So found that out. So
very cool.
Yeah. But no, I don't. I could go take a huge deep dive because a lot of them are still making music and their discography is huge and they could very well pop up again later. Oh,
most definitely. I look forward to it, actually, and I suspect there's a lot of greatness in what they have. The impression I get so far is that their early work is fire.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be a lot of hit or miss material towards the end.
I have no doubt that they'll have something to offer, but it's going to lose the magic of those first 5 solid years when things were good, they were strong, and everybody was pointed in the right direction.
So who won for you this week?
The Temptations.
The Temptations also won for me.
What? Okay. All right.
So
I didn't expect that, honestly.
Yeah, I didn't either. And it is quite a bit closer than I would have thought.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Buckley got 1 disc ready to go, and then he died.
Yeah.
And most of what we listen to is stuff that was put out without him being alive to actually give the go-ahead for it. So the quality it's hit or miss.
Yeah.
And when you've got something like that versus the fucking Temptations, I'm genuinely surprised it's as close as it was.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff Buckley was a phenomenal musician.
Mm-hmm.
The Temptations made some phenomenal music. This was a really, really good listening week for me.
I love that. Yeah, it was very easy for me this week. I love that I was more familiar with Temptations. I introduced you. You found an appreciation and I would even say a love for it.
You didn't introduce me to the Temptations.
Let me have this.
You picked the albums that we listened to.
I was going to give you a compliment. Anyway, I had known maybe 2 songs from Jeff Buckley, and they were because of you. Alligator Wine and Hallelujah, obviously. So I was going to take the opportunity to thank you for picking the albums and
you're welcome.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Fuck me, am I right? Speaking of fucking, let's move on to our next portion of our top 10.
Which was songs about fucking.
Yeah. I'll go first. My number 6 on my list is Animals by Nickelback. We have both said, we both like Nickelback. There should be no stigma or shame about it. This is one of those hard, fast-moving tracks that, I mean, they're talking about fucking in a car, so you can imagine what that would be like.
Yeah.
You can imagine, right? What's next on your list?
My Body by LSG and Freak Me by Silk. So here's some almost oversexed R&B for you. Stuff like this may seem like a bit much at times, but you just never know what's going to do it for somebody. Some people like things excitedly to the point. I once asked someone on a scale of 1 to 10 how much they wanted to fuck me, and that worked. Other people prefer the slow burn of realizing just how strong your desire for them is. Another time, I spent hours edging someone into a nude frenzy, refusing to touch or kiss them. Mere whispers and nearness got the job done. I guess what I'm saying is that no key fits the same lock. Mm-hmm. And locks have a tendency to change. Mm-hmm. But your determination to please the other person is often the sexiest thing you'll bring to the table. These songs work because they highlight that stubbornness to do what it takes for the sake of your lover.
The sexual innuendos are endless over here. Lock and key. Locks sometimes change. It's fucking stupid.
It's not just that your voice changes to do these things either. Like your whole face contorts and your eyebrows twitch while you're talking.
Imagine being my spouse who I'm trying to seduce on a regular. Speaking of seduction.
I feel like, never mind. It's good.
No. Please share. This is a sharing circle.
There are people who have these really over the top orgasms, or people who have to stare into your face and scream and breathe right at you and shit.
Do you think I'm one of those people?
I don't know. Your
eye contact. Your
low voice thing where we gotta talk about this like that. I feel that's probably how you start, and then you end some ridiculous your
I talk
eyes are rolling in your head.
Oh, I was going to say I talk like Betty Boop. Apparently I found out that I can...
No, you can talk like Betty Boop. Let's hear it.
Hold on.
I still got it, Eddie. Boop, boopy, doop, boop.
What's your next pick?
This is going to haunt me with these voices. No, I have a question for you.
Oh, God.
Yeah, me and my sister found out that I apparently can talk like Olive Oil and Betty Boop.
I'm trying to process Betty Boop.
Was it good or not?
And you it was a good impersonation of Betty Boop. Is that your question?
No, which I probably boosted the vocal, so you might want to cut that out.
It's okay.
No, my question to you is, did you test... I know your wife is pregnant, and I know the situation is different, but did you test out your list? Either by yourself or with your wife?
Oh, how did I start it? Miserable wife, miserable life.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
No, I did not test my list.
Okay.
Have I tested my list in the past?
I know.
Yes.
Yes, I know you have. I'm just saying, did you re-up? Did you confirm?
My list, for the most part, has a wide array of confirmation.
Okay. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. We're being like that now.
I'm throwing you songs that have pleased multiple people at some point in time.
Hey, if something works, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, And
if it ain't broke, fuck to it.
My next pick is The Night We Met by Lord Huron.
If it's broke, don't even put a condom on it.
The Night We Met, we're getting more emotional with my choice, and you're ruining this.
I actually didn't mean to interrupt you because this is a great pick.
I know that. Thank you for your approval and confirmation.
I've mentioned the song before,
I know
so go
you
ahead.
Have. It's just there's a level of exposure There's a level of exposure and closeness when it comes to this song.
What was it again?
The Night We Met by Lord Huron.
Well, I would have said Huron.
Huron, whatever.
I think this was one of the songs I would have driven off a bridge to.
Yeah, so I'm fucking to it and you're dying to it. So, but they call sex or an orgasm the little death.
If I could die, I would like to die. Well, if I could die, I'm going to die. We're all going to die.
If I could die.
If I could choose how I was going to die, dying while having sex would be great if it wasn't for the fact that it would traumatize the shit out of the other person.
Apparently, Blue does not care because that's still his go-to for how he would want to die. Literally, fuck me for how it traumatizes me or whoever he's with at the time. I mean, I could die first. Who knows? But anyway.
Yeah, some of us are more thoughtful than others when it comes to others' feelings, but it still wouldn't stop me from trying to die while fucking. So, again, fuck you and your feelings.
Yeah.
That's probably where I'm going to land to.
It's just a good song.
I've completely ruined the moment for this song.
It's fine. You ruin a lot of moments, but I still love you and slightly hate you.
It is an amazing song.
It is. It just, it expresses all the right feelings. It invokes all the right feelings of emotion. So
I've got a dance video up on YouTube with this song to it. I'll throw it on mention so we can...
Way to self-promote.
No, I mean, you can... I don't care that my videos are getting views. It's just now people can listen to the song on YouTube as well.
Yeah. What's your next pick?
Trying to back your picks here, jackass. Next picks.
There you go.
Hands to Heaven by Breathe and Nights in White Satin by the Moody Blues.
My parents walked down the aisle to that song. Or my mom walked down the aisle to that song.
And later that day, they did some fucking.
Oh, well, hold on. No, Mom wanted to walk down the aisle. her sisters who planned her wedding said, "Nuh-uh, no way." So close, but no cigar. Didn't mean to interrupt. Continue.
These songs are here for their ability to transport the mind beyond the confines of a bedroom. Helpful if your love life is mostly relegated to a single location. Turn on these tunes and suddenly you're under the stars or next to a fire. Maybe it's just me. While we're talking about being out and about for sexy time, it's pretty baffling to me that I haven't caught more people having sex in public. And you're shaking your head in agreement. Yes, you're nodding.
Yeah,
It's pretty
a shame.
surprising considering the amount of outdoor fun I had with one of my exes. The back of her Jeep, the lookout at the lake, even happened at my elementary school playground.
Wow.
Once I was out of elementary, clearly. Right?
Yeah, but I don't think that helps. That's a crime. You gotta be careful about where you fuck,
It was
man.
summer vacation. It was nighttime.
Okay.
We weren't out there to fuck. It just...
Were you were a teenager?
No.
You were an adult?
I was 21, 22 maybe.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
You could have been on somebody's list, Shane.
For what? There's no kids out there.
It doesn't matter if it doesn't matter. They say if you piss, exposure, you have sex within a certain radius of a school, a playground, of anything associated with kids, you go on a list. Okay, but even regardless of if kids are there or not, they could be.
Okay.
Just saying. God.
It didn't make me sound like a damn creep.
No, you were 21. I'm just saying you could have been bad.
Yeah. Young people will screw, oftentimes at random.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're out at night and it's nice out, it just tends to happen. But it's surprising to me that you don't catch people more often because I know a lot of stuff goes down.
Yeah.
But
I didn't mean to shame you.
you're fine, Raven.
I have done my share fare. I've done my share fare of having sex in public too. It's never been at a playground. It could have been that I do have stories of it being somewhat worse with people around and just anyway. So I'm not here to shame you. I'm just saying be careful where you have sex, everyone.
Yeah. Most of the time when things like that happen, and this was not that situation. Again, I was not at that playground to have sex.
Mm-hmm. It just happened.
Yeah, when you go to the lake or out in the woods somewhere, that most definitely. But the majority of my sexual experiences in that sort of public place, like a park or something like that, it's always the other person.
I was going to say it's like instigated from the other party.
This one was not. This one was most definitely not.
Okay.
Not blaming her for any... What the fuck are
those
we
monkey
talking
bars
about?
got you hard, man?
No.
Sorry.
God. So I've also heard plenty of folks talk about having sex in public, but apparently most of us are just ninjas when it comes to that sort of thing.
Next on my list is Do It To Me by Usher.
Which I felt robbed, but go ahead.
Other songs by Usher would make other people's list. This just has always done it for me.
Yeah, this has always done it for me as well.
I didn't need to know that, but I know that.
Pretty sure you know this song because I'm me.
Oh, okay. It wasn't my boyfriend who was listening to tremendous amounts of Usher because of his sister.
It's a possibility.
Yeah, there's
It might just be that this is a really great song for sex.
Yeah, that's why it makes my list.
Let's go with that.
What's next for your list?
Well, I'm scared to talk now, but next for me is My by Johnny Gill and Down to the Last Drop by All for One.
Oh, man.
Pretty obvious choices.
Obvious.
And they remind me of those early days of my sexual life. It was like none of us were too sure what we're doing, so we just tried everything.
Mm-hmm.
Talking young enough to still believe sex wasn't great unless it went on for hours. Wearing the number of times you got someone off in a single session like some badge of honor. And while I don't exactly miss treating sex like a marathon, I'm happy for the lessons learned. Happy to know that having sex for a few tracks like this is preferable to banging it out to the entire Linkin Park discography.
You're hitting so close to home over here.
Yeah.
We all went through it if we could stand it. So yeah, wear that badge of honor. But I can attest, those early days, climaxes are better now.
Yeah.
For sure.
Let's put that out there. I remember, actually, this is going to sound really bad because I wouldn't rank lovers for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I can say there are going to be people who walk around and think things like, bruh, I got her off like 4 times, or
Mhm.
You know, there are women who can say they like gave me multiple orgasms, which
Mhm.
I didn't even know was possible until
Yeah.
you started having sex.
Mhm.
I'm talking like quick succession.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I don't look at that and think that was the best sex I'm ever going to have.
Sex is like pizza. Even when it's bad, it's still pretty good. So, I mean, it was great. I'm just saying, being with someone and finding the right someone, the right lock, the right key, it reaches a whole new level, especially if you've grown together, of sexual experiences with them that I value so much more. So it's just one of those things that it just gets better with time.
There's something comforting about being able to relax some.
Yeah, not have to be on display or put on a show or feel like you have to perform in a way because things are new and you're younger and you have this preconceived notion of what sex is supposed to be, hours long of...
Yes.
It's can be so much more than that, and I don't think that the length of time is the underlying factor of if sex was good or how many times you did that.
Or just how crazy the shit you're doing is. Early sex, when I think about it, reminds me of dating someone who wants endless romance.
Mm-hmm.
Like, everything has to be a gesture. Mm-hmm. And what's funny is you want to look back at it and think, oh, you know, the person I was with was kind of immature. They had really high expectations. No, I think young people are just setting those expectations because you've never done it before.
Yeah.
So you're trying everything.
And now that you're older, I bounce back and forth with believing that I was having sex at such a young age. I was younger than I would want my daughter to be, but...
You're on someone's list, Rayburn.
Yeah. Whose list?
I don't know. I've heard that if you're a child who's having sex, that you end up on a list.
Oh, okay.
Just because you're having sex with another child.
Okay, let me know if I'm on that list, Shane. Your pick.
Like a Stone by Audio Slave and Blood Milk and Sky by White Zombie. Here's some picks that make me think about the wild shit most of us have done at some point in order to get laid. I'd snuck into someone's bedroom at night in those younger days, and we'd been listening to the Audio Slave debut on repeat while we were getting down. At some point, she thought her parents were awake and unceremoniously shoved me off of her bed, tried hiding me in the very small amount of space between the bed and the wall. So I'm just naked, too cramped to take a full breath, thinking I'll still be visible if the lights come on, hearing Like a Stone play, and realizing that having music on, even at a super low volume, is probably the dumbest thing imaginable if you want your parents to think you're asleep. Luckily, no one else was actually awake, and Blood Milk and Sky was playing when a whole ass family caught us fucking in their driveway in broad daylight. I'm not always the brightest. A degree of danger adds some nice spice on occasion, though.
Logan just confessed to me day before yesterday that him and a friend were going to try to scare Blue and I by peeking in my window and scaring us. And the friend lifted my brother up, and apparently there was a little crack at the top where Logan could see in, and he's never told a soul about this until 2 days ago.
And now the whole world's gonna know. He told me he saw Blue bare-assed and looked at his friend and he was like, no, let's not mess with him. And made him pull him down. And I said, well, be lucky you didn't see me or see Blue's other regions. And it was just his ass. So, Logan, count your blessings. It could have been 10 times worse. So, yeah.
My next pick.
I don't think I ever caught adults fucking.
I didn't either. My brother caught my mom and dad once, cried like a bitch and said, get off my mama. And Alyssa caught my parents twice on accident. It was another one of those moments of she walked in, quickly walked out, and then she moved back the curtain in a window. She was outside in my parents' room and they were having sex and she regretted it. But I've never seen my parents. I don't even know what my dad's dick looks like, and I'm thankful.
I would like to extend this bit of information to your family if they're listening. I did not ask her to share any of this. She just offered all of this freely to the world.
I mean,
This
I'm
is not
saying
my
anything,
influence.
I'm not saying anything personal. A lot of people have caught their parents having sex. I just wasn't one of them. There's no shame in their game. Anyway, my next pick is The Dope Show by Marilyn Manson. This is the more darker, rougher side of sexual experiences.
Have you been shooting smack all day and you just need to get down?
Yeah.
Listen to Manson's The Dope Show.
Yeah.
And we'll all be stars now.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's my Saturday
It's a song
night.
about drugs. I don't know.
I guess it's fitting because it's one of those songs that, yeah, it's about drugs, but in a way it just lifts you to this almost surreal experience of just freeing yourself either with drugs or sex. Anyway, I don't know. I just like it. That's what I'm gonna say about that. I just like it.
She likes that dark beat that goes boom, 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 boom.
Got a rhythm.
That's
got a stroking.
Quite a few of her dark song picks have that
Okay, I don't
dark beat.
quit analyzing me. Let's move on to your next pick. I feel exposed.
The final thing for me here is Ready or Not by After 7 and Tell Me by Drew Hill. Not exactly a sex story here, but something that stuck with me. One of the hottest girls in middle school, in my opinion at least, randomly asked me out. One, I understandably thought she was trying to make good on a dare or something, considering my size.
Mm-hmm.
Two, I technically had a girlfriend at the time, even if it was just someone I only ever talked to over the phone. So I turned her down.
Aw, look at you being the good guy. You could have played them both, honestly. They wouldn't have known the difference.
No, I mean, most of it was I thought she was fucking with me. I really did. Absolutely beautiful person who went on to become a lawyer. I don't know.
Hold on, I'm scrolling your Facebook friends right now.
Yeah, I would have thought like psychiatrist or I don't know, wants to get into people's heads.
Mm-hmm. And their pants, apparently.
Maybe that's what it was. She wanted more justice in the world, and I was a fat kid who no one was asking out. She had to go there.
She felt it was her right, and I don't know, to take on this underprivileged
Maybe.
guy.
Anyway.
Continue. Sorry to interrupt.
A lovely friend of mine who witnessed the entire mind-boggling event thought it'd be fun to sing random R&B songs from that moment on anytime she and I were in close proximity. He switched it up a lot, but I remember these well because he did a pretty good job belting those choruses out. Anyway, ain't life grand? Go have some sex.
My last pick is Call Out My Name by The Weeknd. The Weeknd was the top artist to have sex to in 2020, and yeah, it makes sense. He's a great artist to get down to. I don't know what else I can say. I love his vocals. I love how it seems like he takes his time with things. I'm not saying
It's becoming like full body motions as you talk to
I am not moving.
Taking his time.
He takes his time with his vocals and his slow, sultry sound. And it just makes sense to pair that with sexual experience.
Yes, it does. The Weeknd is great.
Yeah, I can't make this list without putting The Weeknd on it. And I could have very well put a number of songs from his newest album, his After Hours album. Or if you love 50 Shades of Grey, I've never seen it, never read it. But those songs from there are solid as well. So Earned It is good.
Yeah.
So
I'm ready to cover The Weeknd.
Oh, yeah, me too.
Just you talking about Earned It and not mentioning the rest of that album.
I know. I can't get into it. We'll get into it when we cover The Weeknd.
So I'd put him at number 2 on my sex list. I think Deftones would still be right up there. What I will say about your pick, great music video. Mm-hmm. I'm going to put it on mentions. That's it for us here in our sex list and our music talk. Congratulations to both artists. Temptations on their perfect rating. Mm-hmm. Buckley on doing what you did while you were alive.
Yeah.
Anyway, assuming you're not going off to fuck after listening to this ridiculousness that's gone on between two cousins for the last however long, let's draw music for next week. What do you say?
Yay!
I'm giving you the listener jam jar, and I will take my pick out of our normal jam jar.
I love that so in your sex list, it was like top and down, because I like by ranking.
Oh, no, I didn't rank them.
Okay, because I was going to say I wanted to finish with The Weeknd.
Okay, nothing wrong with that.
You want me to go first?
Absolutely.
Our choice, not even our choice, our selection from the listener jam jar was given to us by Sandra. We love Sandra on this show.
Yes, we do.
And her pick is Nirvana.
Really?
Yes.
I forgot she put that in there.
Nirvana.
You know, I'm going to go out on a limb here and guess that Nirvana is there because I remember Sandra never really listened much to, what's that genre of music? Alternative?
Grunge.
Yeah, alternative grunge type stuff. She was never big on it, but that Live in New York album that came out, the Unplugged album, I remember her really enjoying some of that. So
I hope she just comments on social media, smells like Teen Spirit. And that be it, like she did for, what is it, Sugar? No. What Maroon 5 song was it?
I don't remember what the song title was, but I know what you're talking
Yeah,
about.
I hope she does that again. I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to it.
Definitely thank you for the recommendation.
The Nirvana's a big one.
It's going to be close musically.
Okay.
I'll
break out my flannel.
The artist that I pulled from our jam jar is Creed.
Okay.
So Creed and Nirvana.
All right.
It's time to piss some people off, I'm sure. One way or another, there's going to be some folks with some hurt feelings.
We're good about that.
Maybe we'll disagree. Maybe we'll luck out.
We shall see. Until next time.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Sitting down with alternative is always great.
I don't want to give anything away, but I might be in beanie and flannel when I see you next. So just take it as I'm method acting.
Okay.
All right.
What always comes to mind when I think about Nirvana is one of my friends who I may have talked about today. He used to sing highly inappropriate things to me.
Is it the same one that sang?
Even in, no comment.
Okay.
Even in elementary school. And so what I remember is if I was having a bad day, the dude used to try to cheer me up by singing Rape Me.
Okay.
To me. Very appropriate.
Yeah.
This was elementary school. Elementary. How do you... Elementary.
My dear Watson.
I don't know how to say the word. Anyway, that's going to do it for this week. Hit up our playlist to hear all the songs we talk about. Get our full ratings, t-shirts, and bonus episodes at teespring.com/ratedradio. Guide what we listen to by suggesting new artists for our jam jar. You can even send us voice messages on Facebook for a shot at being on the show. Your support really is what makes or breaks us. So thank you for listening and sharing. Until next time, fill your world with music.
And also some fucking.
Bang, bang!